Hey parents, Dr. Eric here. We're going to get started in just a minute. I am just going to allow some parents to jump on and then we'll get started in about a minute, okay? So we got a lot to cover. We don't want to take too much of your time today. So we're going to try to get everything in about a 20-30 minute time frame, closer hopefully to that 20-minute, but I know because there's a lot going on. I have a lot to cover that it may go closer to that 30. So we'll try our best to get you the information that you need and get you back on your way. So we'll, like I said, give it about a minute here and then we'll get started. Allow a couple people to jump on and then we'll start our webinar on colic, reflux, and gas pains with these kiddos. So let me just kind of get the notes organized here because I just want to make sure that I cover everything that I had planned for you guys and I don't forget anything on here. So just want to get those up. Okay. So I want this to kind of be interactive. So there's going to be some questions that I'll ask along the way. So when I ask those, just put down in the comments section, you know, what your opinion, what your answers are onto that point, because I want this to be a resource for parents in general to get information that can help them and help empower them, because that is one big thing that, you know, I'll cover today, but I'm huge. My passion is into empowering parents, making sure that parents feel empowered when it comes to making decisions for their kids and making the right decision or what they feel is best in their mom gut or dad gut or just parent gut in general. So let's get started onto this point. So when we look at reflux, colic, and gas pains, this is something that we see so often in infants. And taking histories, I see it a lot in the case histories in kids that are even older, that are now struggling with bigger things of constipation, ear infections, behavior challenges, speech delays, all of these things. This is a common thing that I see in their history. So I want you to imagine having a 3-month-old that's on Zantac for reflux or on Prevacid, you know, playing tag with your significant other because you're rocking your little one for 3 hours a night to calm them down, but you need sleep as a parent. So you have to play tag with the other one so that you can get some sleep, and now they're taking care of the baby so that they can console and try to comfort their little one and your little one. And, you know, this is very common. I see this so often in, like I said, in these kids, but I want to distinguish something that it is very common for these kids, but it is far from normal parents. This is not a normal thing that our kids should have to go through. So I want you to, a lot of these things is just going to be looking at things through a different set of lenses. And giving you different viewpoints on what's going on with kiddos, and let you know that just because you're going through this doesn't mean you have to. There are things that you can do to help your kid, and that's why you're here joining me today. So like I said, I want this to be interactive somewhat. So I have a question for you guys, and you know, put your answers in the comments section, and don't feel like you can't comment because you don't want other people to know, because what the answers are is something you're going to see a lot of parents struggle with and that stuff. So question for you is, what doesn't sit right in your mama gut, your dad gut, your parent gut? You know, what has happened with you that you just thought that wasn't right or that isn't normal? Put that in the comment section. You know, like somebody else's, because again, if it's happened to you, it's for sure happen to other parents as well. You're not the only ones in this, and I want to get that across so I can help empower you guys into the future. So usually these issues are thrown into different compartments. We have, the colic goes to the pediatrician, the reflux goes to GI, and maybe even gas pains go to GI docs. What I do is, like I said, I look at things through a different set of lenses, just a different viewpoint. I look at how your kiddo and how all these issues fit together, because my background is in neurology, and neurology is what actually controls everything else. What that means is that these systems or compartments that I talk about are controlled by the same system, which is our nervous system. So having the focus on pediatrics and prenatal, I have a lot of parents that say to me that, why hasn't anyone ever told me this before? And I hear this quite often. And really, it is just that most people don't look at it actually the same way that a pediatric chiropractor does. So I'm going to give you a different view of these challenges that our kids are struggling with, our infants are struggling with. So going through this kind of this sequence of things, and is that, infants, we start seeing maybe latching or nursing difficulties, and in a 2-week-old, we may see agitation or just that they're uncomfortable. I have parents all the time, they just look uncomfortable, and they are. It's your gut's telling you that they are, but why? Why are they uncomfortable? Because they should be flexible. The baby should not feel tense, not feel overwhelmed, not feel uncomfortable. They should be calm, relaxed. In a 4-week-old, we start seeing straining or gas pains. In a 6 to 8-week-old, we might see that they're just, again, uncomfortable. Again, parents keep on mentioning they just feel uncomfortable. In a 3 to 4-month-old, we start to see colic or sleep regressions or constipation. And we may see some of that even earlier onto that. I've had a week-old or a couple days old experience colic and these things. So, it's not a set thing like I just mentioned, but it is a struggle that we see our kids go through. So looking at reflux first, this is going to be, when we look at it on a neurology level, this is going to be an upper chest and upper cervical area, upper neck issue. Typically what we see is that this is a disturbance or an issue with the lower esophagus and upper stomach in our kiddos. We start to see a lot of spitting up, arching of the back, and crying onto this point. And your gut, your mama gut, your parent gut is probably telling you, hey, this isn't right. Why is my kid constantly spitting up? Right? Because it's just, when we eat, we don't spit up. So why is a kid, that's how they get their nutrition. They shouldn't be spitting up, periodically or every time they feed. So something's going on to that. Then we get into colic, and colic overall is more just being uncomfortable. The actual definition is crying more than 3 hours for at least 3 days a week for 3 weeks straight. Well, that's, to get that actual diagnosis of colic, that's a long time for your kid to, be uncomfortable. And what we see is colic is, like I said, uncomfortable, inconsolable, and honestly, and I hate that I see this, but it is what can break up, and what I see break up families, because it is hard. It is hard on parenting. One is trying to console the kid, while the other one's maybe trying to take care of the other kids, and then you switch and you don't spend time with each other, and you start losing that bond, that connection that made you two love each other in the first place. So I see that quite often. Now, you're playing tag, like I said, with them and because that stress settles into their system, settles into their nervous system, and intertwines and starts connecting into a stress pattern onto that. So what you find is that you may find that bouncing on a ball can be very calming, or if you swing your kiddo, that can be very calming. Most of the time, these colicky babies are looking for that. They're looking for that stimulation. They're seeking that out. Now, they want that. They may also want that constant oral stimulation that they're seeking with that pacifier. All of those things are stimulating that nervous system that I'll talk about in a little bit. And car rides. Car rides are another thing. Or the mamaroo. You may find that you go on a car ride that starts calming your kiddo down, or you're putting them in that mamaroo thing that they have now. But because I want this to be a resource for other parents, what I want you to do is comment down below the things that you have found that work for your kiddo if your kiddo struggles with colic. What have you done that you found works to help comfort them onto that point? Because again, other parents are struggling with this and they may not know what to do to help comfort their kiddo. So please comment down below so that another parent can benefit from that too. So gas pains. Gas pains is that blowing, the straining, the crying out of nowhere, maybe that gurgling. And you as a parent can usually tell that they have those gas pains. Some suggestions for that is, one thing you can do is clockwise rotation on their abdomen. And so taking like your pointer finger and actually just doing little clockwise circles and a clockwise rotation, helping that large intestine, helping that gas to help move, because you're going along the length of their digestive tract and help stimulate some of that. The other big thing is we need to calm down their nervous system. And I'll talk about that in a little bit, because their nervous system, if it's overstressed, their body can't digest properly. And then we start to see some of that build up gas pain issue onto that. So now what I want to do is talk about the vagus nerve. I'm not talking about Las Vegas. I'm talking about the vagus nerve that every single one of us have in our body. It is a nerve that I may refer to sometimes as vagal tone, but it is the calming aspect of our nervous system. There are two modes of our nervous system, and that is our stress response, which is our fight and flight. This is our sympathetic overdrive stress response. The other side is our brake pedal. This is the parasympathetic part of our nervous system. This part of the nervous system is very important for rest, relax, digestion, our immune system, growth, development, and even healing. So the question is what determines if we are in this gas pedal or this brake pedal? Really depends on how much stress is in our lives. Now, for these little ones, you as a parent are probably wondering, they're 2 weeks old. Where is the stress? How can they have stress on their body? I like to categorize stress into 3 different categories. We have physical stress, we have chemical stress, and we have emotional stress. Now, physical stress. What I want you to do, parents, is think about any physical stress for an infant. Write it in the comment section. Write any physical stresses that you think there are. Because the big one that comes to me is birth. Hello, yes. They just went through a crazy birth. And yes, don't get me wrong, it is a natural, beautiful, amazing experience, but holy moly, can you imagine going through that right now, being an adult? There would definitely be physical stress for sure. And even in the most natural, intervention-free birth, there is stress. And actually, they estimated it to be 85 to 90% of any birth actually has a stress response in it, showing that the infant can get a misalignment in the top part of the neck and stimulate and kick on the gas pedal part of our nervous system. So, moving on to chemical stress. Chemical stress can be a big puzzle piece here. Actually, when we look at chemical stress, I like to refer to this study because when we talk about infants, they may not have been exposed to a lot of, we may not think that they've been exposed to a lot of chemical stress, but there was a study, and what they did was they examined the cord blood from a lot of infants. And what they did was they took the blood, they sampled them, and what they found was that there was over 200 known toxins to the nervous system that had built up over the pregnancy. This is a baby that has already been exposed then to that many toxins. That's crazy. They've been already impacted with that many chemical toxins in their environment before they were even born on that. Then we get into emotional stress, especially in those mamas that maybe have had fertility issues, but even without, there is a lot of fear during pregnancy. There's a lot of anxiety. There's other situations that are pre-wiring these little infants' nervous systems that way onto that. So because the reason is because everything you as a mom take in, experience, baby's experiencing that right along with you. You know, I'm not here to say play the blame game, because there is no blame. You know, we live our lives and we are always going to be exposed to things, and some of it is unavoidable. So it is not to put blame, it's just everything mom experiences, baby's experiencing right along. So now our body so the beautiful thing about our body is that it is meant to adapt to stress. That is what our nervous system does. Our nervous system allows our body to be able to adapt to our stresses, and that is a very important component of our body. But what can happen is that we can overwhelm it, and with these infants, it gets overwhelmed too soon. And that, guys, is why we're seeing such a high rate, because we're overwhelming their nervous system with these stresses, these physical, chemical, and emotional stresses, and it's shooting them into this gas pedal mode. So what's happening is it's getting them into this red zone faster, and what happens is when it gets kicked into this red zone faster, this gas pedal gets kicked on. And the two parts of the nervous system, the brake pedal and the gas pedal, work inversely. So when we have the gas pedal on, well, the brake pedal is off. The brake pedal is off. So gas pedal on, brake pedal off. So if the gas is on, then the brake is off. And just like I talked about earlier, if the brake isn't working, then all of those functions, the rest, the relax, the digestion, the immune system, the growth, the development, the healing, can't work to its full potential. And when we're talking about kids, this is when we start to see these issues start to arise. And this is how those three things that I was talking about, the reflux, the colic, the gas pains, this is how it all fits together via the nervous system, or the vagus nerve more particular. So now, talking about the vagus nerve, it is a cranial nerve that comes out of the brain and passes right by the upper neck region, and is most commonly, like I said, impacted or stressed during the birth process. As a precursor here, because I know this is a question I get, so as a precursor here, adjusting an infant is completely different than adjusting an adult. It is the amount of pressure that you would put on a ripe tomato without breaking the surface. It is a very gentle, light, and very specific contact on that. And these kids, they're so overwhelmed, they're so stressed, and they're so ready to make these huge changes. And the beautiful thing too is because they're so young, they also haven't had this stress, create stress patterns in there, and it hasn't been stuck into their nervous system for that long. So they respond faster. Now, how do we find this stress? And that's a question that I get is, well, how do you know that there's stress on the nervous system just because they have colic or reflux or gas pains? No, what we do is we use state-of-the-art scans. We don't guess on anybody's health that comes into this office, even if they're a day old or 50 years old. We don't guess on anybody's health in this office. We use those scans, and what these scans do is it looks at the nervous system. It looks at how the nervous system is communicating and functioning. If there is stress between how the brain is communicating with these organs, these glands, and these tissues, do you think our body is going to be able to work properly? If our body is stuck into a state of stress, say we're getting chased by a bear. If you're getting chased by a bear, are you worried about digesting the food that you just ate? Are you worried about fighting an infection? Are you worried about growing and developing and healing? No, because all of our energy is being expended into running away from that bear. What we need to do for these kids is to get them out of that gas pedal mode and get them back over to that brake pedal where they can grow, they can develop, they can heal the way that they were meant to onto that point. So, and the scans don't put anything in the body. We don't take anything out of the body. And it's very specific. It gives us an indication, are we going to be able to help or not onto that point. So I urge you guys to ask questions. This is your right. You are a parent. These are your kids. Ask why. Get down to the root of why all of this is happening. This is very common, like I mentioned, but it is far from normal, parents. So be that advocate, be empowered to change your kids' lives, and really make those choices, follow that gut, make sure that you're trusting your mama gut or your dad gut or your parent gut, and make sure that that connection to your instinct, make sure that you have that connection to your instinct, and make sure that nobody has you doubting your confidence as a parent. What one parent finds to work may not work for you. So don't let them make you doubt your parenting confidence onto that. Like I mentioned in the very beginning, it is a passion of mine to make sure that parents are empowered like you, to make sure that you feel empowered in making the right choices for your kid, and instead of having somebody just tell you what to do, taking that and taking all that information and making that right decision for you guys. So my action step for today is to get your kiddo scanned. Okay, find out if there is stress on their system, stress on their nervous system, because until we do that, we don't know. And most likely you've tried other things at this point, and you've maybe seen some changes, but you haven't gotten point. Is this that missing part that is going to help your kid not have to deal with colic or reflux or gas pains, or even later in life deal with bigger issues onto this point? So give us a call, and we'd love to be able to set up an appointment. What this appointment does is it helps you determine if we are a right fit for you, because we may not be the best fit for every single family. So this allows you to find out if we are a fit for you, and then lastly, if we can help at all anyways. And if we can, we're here for you. We are 100%, 110% committed to helping you. But if we're not, we will help you find that right place that you need to be and bring your kiddo. So now, if you guys have any questions, comment in the comment section down below. I will try to answer it within the next 30 minutes. But if you guys have questions after, don't hesitate just typing them in. Periodically, I'll check back and answer those questions. Otherwise, give us a call or message us if you have anything else or you want to get your kiddo scanned to see what is going on and if we can help. So have a great day, and bye now.